What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show. And I don't think I've ever talked on this before. I don't think I've ever talked on how I got into sneakers and stuff. I feel like that's a story that I should overall tell. And yeah, I don't, cause yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't remember doing no episode like that. I've done like countless sneaker episodes, and I think I spoke on it maybe a little bit, but not like how I got into it and stuff. And it's funny because it all started maybe like 2016, 2017 when I think it was 2016. That's when I was like, more open to the idea of like widening my variety of shoes and stuff. But my intentions was to never become a sneakerhead. My intentions was to just get some shoes that could last me a while. But then I was all like, dang, I'm getting this outfit. So I'm like, I can't wear some red and black shoes with a yellow shirt. It ain't gonna look the same. It ain't gonna look natural. So anyways, yeah, but it was right after I had started working at that cafe job that I always talked about downtown. So I was getting me some extra money, like prior before I was getting YouTube money, and YouTube money wasn't really getting me a whole lot. I was like, I have to say, like, I wish I was in that mindset where I'm all like, shoes, nothing else matters. Like, it is all about putting my money and investing in the YouTube. I wish I was like that still. But anyways, so 2016, I started working at this cafe job. Was getting a lot of money and stuff. And so I figured I might as well do a little shopping and things. I've never really just gone out and just treated myself. So it was, bruh, I'm telling you, like, I remember that first paycheck. It was like $700. It was like 700 and something dollars and stuff. So I was like, dang. I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm getting this every 2 weeks. And so I'm like, bruh, this is kind of good. I'm like, I like this. So anyways, so I'm going, I'm like, just, pretty much like looking around. I think like the first thing I had bought was like some video games and stuff. So I was like, bruh, like, dang, what am I going to do with all this money? I'm like, I ain't never had this type of money before. So anyways, I'm like, just, shopping around and things. And I ain't really like know what else to buy. Like, I wasn't really into fashion. I wasn't really into shoes, of course. And so I was like, I can only get something. I'm not trying to have like 100 video games like how I did back in the day on the PlayStation 2. So I'm like, bruh, I'm like, nah, I gotta chill on the video games, just get whatever is that I like, and then, just stick with it. So I remember I chilled on buying video games. And then I think I went into Famous Footwear. And then that's when I was like, you know what, let me see what shoes they have in here. So first store I think I did go to, it wasn't Foot Locker, Champs, the Nike store. It was Famous Footwear. Went in Famous Footwear and I had got these. And I still have those shoes too. It was these like red and black Nikes. They look like the like band ones. They look like the band Air Jordan ones. But they're not though. They're like some like, famous footwear. I'm not going to say that their shoes are knockoffs, but they're like the cheaper, Nike shoes. So in case if, you ain't trying to go into Foot Locker or Champs, and get some $230 phone posits, you go to Famous Footwear and get you some like, I think them shoes is maybe like $80 or less. I can't remember. It's like, they pretty much like, you go in there to get like some like shoes. They're about the same price as some Vans or Converse. So it's like 80, like max is probably 100. But I can't think of any shoes in there that's like $200 and things. So that's why I'm like, yeah, you go into Famous Footwear, you're bound to get some shoes that's like, it's probably like best to, take your kids there and stuff. Unless like they are a sneakerhead, then yeah, go to stores like, Nike or Foot Locker or Champs or I don't know, any sneaker store out there, Finish Line. But anyway, so go to Famous Footwear, get these black and red Nike shoes. And from there, I remember the coworkers. There was one of the coworkers. He was like, I considered him like the head chef. Like that dude, I honestly believe that he could have like ran that place by himself. For those that worked with me, I'm talking about Mark. So anyways, Mark, he was in the shoes. He was in the sneakers and things. He had a collection. But at the time being, when I was like getting into shoes, I had no idea. So he came up. I remember when I was wearing those shoes, he came up to me and he was just like, "Oh, are those the Jordans?" I'm all like, "Nah, these are just some Nike shoes I got at Famous Footwear." So he started like sat me down and started explaining to me like Jordans and stuff. So I'm like, okay, no idea what you're talking about, but I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that to the mind and stuff, and I'm gonna remember that. I'm gonna remember that when I'm like going shopping around for some Jordans and things. And at the time being, so to explain to you guys like how I felt about Jordans back then, hated them. For some odd reason, I don't know why I hated Jordans, but I hated Jordans. My thing was is like at the time being, I didn't know about like reselling and all of that stuff. So I was all like, bruh, like I always assumed like, Jordans was costing like $200 to $300. And I'm like, bro, I would never, ever in my life spend $200. I'm laughing about it because I've spent more than $200 on shoes before. The most expensive pair of shoes I have, and it's worth it. Like them shoes is worth it, but it's these self-lacing shoes, and they cost like I think the ones that I got. I wish I had waited because I actually like the tie-dyed ones. Those was like $350, but I think the ones that I got was like $400. So yeah, I spent $400 on some self-lacing shoes, but it was worth it. It was worth it. Then I've came close. I've actually spent then it was like maybe $300 on some Yeezys, $300 on some other Adidas shoes. Like what else? Close to $300 on some Jordans. Like I've gone above and beyond with Jordans and shoes and stuff. So anyways, but yeah, so afterwards I remember I was like, okay, I don't really like the shoes in Famous Footwear, so I'm like, I got all this extra money and stuff, so let me go into Champs and Foot Locker and stuff, cause so there's this mall in the like area that I live in. And so like straight, and I think like that's how most malls are, because I know the one in South Center, they have it where it's like Champs, like all the shoe stores are in the same area and stuff. So this mall that I shop at, they have Champs like across, and then they have like Champs on one side, and then they have Foot Locker on the other side, like but directly across from each other. So it's like it's messed up because people, if they don't like any of the shoes in there, then they just walk like straight across, and like the Champs like workers can see them. But I think they are like all in connection. I think they're all underneath the same company, because I know now they have like these things where it's like you go onto this app, and then like they have like all of the like shoe stores, like so I believe it's Foot Locker, Champs. There's this one store called Foot Action. I think maybe Finish Line, but I'm not sure. I'll have to download the app and see. But yeah, it's like they have it where it's like you're build up these points and you get like coupons and all that stuff. So anyway, like now that it is, I think before though, I don't think they were doing all of that. So because I remember, yeah, it was like I felt kind of bad like doing that, because I'm like, well, you guys don't have any shoes in here for me to buy, so I'm like, I am gonna walk across and see and stuff. But anyways, so I think I remember I went over to Champs because I think Foot Locker didn't really have like a whole lot of shoes. So I went over to Champs because Champs, they got like a wide variety of shoes. Foot Locker, they mainly like, this store is like mainly just Nike. Like it's pretty much, if you consider it like Foot Locker, at least the Foot Locker that in this mall that I shop at, and for those that know me, the Commons Mall, yeah, that store only has like maybe, like they have like this big giant section of just Nike shoes, and then there's like a small section of Jordans. Then they have like Vans, Adidas, and I think Reeboks. They have them like all in like one section. So they have like all the other name shoes in like one section, but Jordan has its own section, Nike has its own section. And I don't know, I never really pay attention to the women's wall, but I don't even think they divide it. Like at least like with us, they divide it, but they're like, they don't even give them like a full, like the amount, like the same size of the Nike section of Foot Locker is like the same like size as the women's section for all of their shoes. So for all the Jordans, all the Nikes, Adidas, Pumas, anything that they have in there. So and I don't even think no, they do carry Pumas, because I remember I had went and bought me some Pumas. I had to go to like the South Center Mall to get me these Pumas, but then it was like not too long later that the Foot Locker and the Commons Mall ended up selling them. But anyway, so I remember I think I had went into Champs and was just like looking around, seeing what shoes that they had in there. And I think I remember I just got like me some like lifestyle type shoes. It was these red ones, but I did like the green ones. It was these like green, white, and black ones. I'm like, yo, those are actually pretty fat. So I'm like, if I ever do I need to like figure out the name of those shoes. and then like see if they have them like on like StockX or somewhere, and they probably go for like a cheaper price. They probably like $50 or something. So that'd be crazy if I looked those shoes up and them shoes is going for like $5,000. I'm like, well, I know what shoes I'm selling. So, anyways, because I didn't even really like the red and black ones. I was like, they didn't really do a whole lot for me. So, anyways, yeah, that happens. There are times where I'm all like, I buy some shoes, see a different colorway, and I like that colorway, and I just kind of just like, I don't even like the ones that I ended up buying. So I'm like, bruh, they need to release all those colorways like at one time. Like you release a colorway today, then 2 weeks later you releasing another colorway. I'm like, nah, release them color, or at least like come out with all of the colorways and release the ones like that they're not going to do so well, but then like have it where it's like we know which colorways are coming out. So I'm like, I'm not wasting, because I'm telling you, half of the shoes that I have probably wouldn't even have them. I probably would have had like a different colorway, or I probably wouldn't have had them at all if I would have known like which colors are coming out. So anyways, so yeah, that happened. And then after that, then I started getting into Adidas. So I remember Adidas, they had like these EQT Advanced. I think that was the name of them. I still have a pair. I should like bring those out and wear them, because those shoes is actually pretty nice. They're pretty comfortable too. But anyways, I remember I still have the first pair that I bought. So I bought those. Was wearing them and stuff, because I was like, I was like, yeah, I started to, because I was like, I seen so many people wearing Nikes and Jordans, so I'm like, I want to be an Adidas guy, I want to wear me some Adidas and stuff. So get into Adidas, and then from there I was like, then that's when I started figuring out like all the different like names and stuff for shoes, because I remember when the NMDs, I remember I seen a pair of these Adidas NMDs. And I seen this. So there was this girl at my job. She was wearing them. That girl, she was weird. She was like stealing bacon from us and stuff. But anyways, for those that worked with me, I'm probably pretty sure you guys know who I'm talking about and things. But anyways, so the bacon stealing customer, she was wearing these like nice Adidas. I ain't gonna lie, like nah, her shoe game, it was dope. I liked her shoes. Her shoes was dope and stuff. So anyways, but nah, she came in here with these Adidas, and I'm like, yo, those are nice. And so I'm like, bruh, and so I'm like, I wonder, how do you acquire those ones? I wish people could have been there for how I was trying to describe those shoes, because it was the funniest thing ever, me trying to describe. So the guy, it's funny because the guy that like, he told me about like all the different names of like Adidas shoes. It's funny because one of my good friends, it was her ex. And so there's like, I think I told that story before, but in case if I didn't, so to explain that to you guys, because I'm like, nah, it's like, there's like side stories to this whole sneaker story. So anyways, so I remember I was getting into Adidas, and then I ended up having to go to Louisiana for my grandfather's funeral and stuff. But the hotel that we were staying at was like right across the street from a mall. So we're like, we ain't gonna just, because I think we were out there for like 4 days. So we're like, we ain't gonna just like, we are gonna go to the funeral. Hands down, we're gonna do that and stuff. But it's like, we're gonna like, this is like our second time going to Louisiana. So it was, we gotta like, do some adventure stuff, like eat out, go to stores, malls, and all of that stuff. So anyways, I don't know. I feel like people would think like you're out there for a funeral, and you're gonna buy some shoes. To say it like, to explain to you guys, I wasn't into shoes. I mean, I was into Adidas and stuff, but I wasn't like, oh, I gotta get this Jordan, that Jordan, this, and all that. So I was like, I only was really into Adidas, but I'm like, I was just getting into shoes. So I'm like, of course I'm gonna go out and buy me some shoes, or go into the shoe stores and look around and stuff. So anyways, so I had got these Adidas shoes, and remember I was like wearing them around and stuff, because they were like, some like old school like EQT shoes. So EQT stands for equipment, and it was like, yeah, EQT ADV, and it was like equipment advanced or something like that. So anyways, I remember I had got some of the EQTs, like some like old school looking ones, and was just wearing them around. And I remember when I had came back to Washington, then I was in this GameStop. So the guy, he worked, they got me like, or told me like the different names of shoes and stuff. He got me like, or he worked at the GameStops and the Champ store that was in the mall. So he was in there like on break, I think, just talking to the GameStop co-workers. And I was just like, looking through the shelves, like, looking through all the games and stuff. And then all of a sudden I just hear out, are those, he was like, are those EQT boosts? And I have no idea what he's talking about. So I'm like, I don't think they are. I'm like, I don't remember seeing anything about like a shoe having this word called boost. I'm like, what are you talking about? What it's like? I'm like, bro, like at least like if you're gonna start the conversation, like at least like try to explain it to me. I'm like, bro, I'm confused on what's going on right now. So, anyways, so he goes and he's like, he's talking to me about boost, and I'm like, no idea what he's talking about. I'm like, I'm just as clueless as I was when the coworker at my job was telling me about the different Jordans and stuff. So I'm like clueless. Like I had no idea what you're talking about, bro. So anyways, so he goes and he's explaining it to me and talking to me about it and stuff. So from there, we ended up becoming like good friends, and he was like getting me into a lot of like Adidas shoes and stuff. And it was crazy because I was like, like this guy, I'm like, I don't really know him, but every time when I went to go like look at some shoes, always would go to the Champs store. I was like closed off to Champs until it was like I'll talk about like this, like the first pair of like Jordans that I really wanted at Foot Locker, and I was like, then my love for Champs went over to Foot Locker. Now I'm like, now it's an equal thing. I love Champs and Foot Locker equally. But anyways, so there were some NMDs that was coming out, or actually no. So I seen this. So back at the customer that was still in bacon at our cafe. So she was wearing the NMDs. It was like the OG NMDs, the first pair that came out with the red and blue blocking. So she's wearing those, and it was because it's like red, blue, black, and I think it has like some white on it and things. And so, anyways, she's wearing that, bro. I'm telling you, I did not know the name of like Adidas shoes. One would have thought like I would have looked it up rather than just going directly to the Champ store and then trying to explain to the guy what shoes I saw. But it was seriously like a game. Like I was playing a legitimate game with this guy. So and I still remember how I was explained it too. That's something that I think I'll never forget. But anyways, I go in there and I'm like, bro, I seen this girl at my job wearing these Adidas shoes. And I knew that they were Adidas because Adidas. So the majority of Adidas shoes have 3 stripes on it. So I think that's just like their signature thing. Although there are some Adidas shoes that I had bought where it doesn't have 3 stripes on it. I think it does, but it's like very faint, or you can't really see it, or it's like on the part of the shoe people ain't gonna be paying attention to. So, anyways, actually there's like a few pair of shoes that I have like that from Adidas and things. So, but anyways, regardless, so. He's all like, oh, do you know what shoes they were? I'm like, they had like these like blocks on the shoes, which they do and stuff. And so I'm like, I thought that would have, he would have caught that and things. Cause I'm like, yo, somebody would have, if I was in the shoes and then somebody came up to me and said they seen these Adidas shoes, but they had like these like different colored blocks on the bottom of the shoe. I'm like, oh, those are the NMDs. But he was confused as me because he didn't know, he didn't have no idea until I think I had said some like more details about the shoes. Then he was like, oh, NMDs? And I'm like, I think they're NMDs. I don't know. I'm like, bro, I'm clueless on when it comes to this stuff. I don't know what NMDs are. I don't even know what that stands for. So I still to this day don't know what NMD stands for. Let me see real quick, because I'm like, I know EQT stands for NMD meaning. Yeah, they don't even say. They just short for Nomad. Oh, okay. So the Adidas, no. Oh, okay. That makes sense. So, all right. So now I know. So Adidas Nomad. But I was like, I didn't know what that meant. So I just, I'm like, I'm clueless on this stuff, bruh. So, anyways, but he told me that they do plan on coming out with some NMDs, and so I'm like, oh, dope. So I remember I'm customizing one of them. But I remember there was these tan ones that I bought, and I was just all like, bro, I bought both of them. I bought both of the pairs that he was that was coming out. So anyways, he goes and he's telling me about the shoes and all of that. And then it was funny because he was like, he gave me an exclusive look at the shoes. And so I remember I went in there one day because he told me like they were going to get them in. So he just wanted to show me them and things. So I remember I go in there, I'm looking at the shoes and he's showing me. I'm like, oh, wow. I'm like, bro, these are fat. These are nice. And so, yeah, I was just like, and then I remember I came in, bought my pair, came in not too long after that, bought another pair and stuff. And it was like 2 different colors and things. So anyways, and then after that, like I remember me and that guy, we were getting into Adidas shoes and talk about them. Then one day he just disappeared. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I see, that's the one thing I'm like, when you like, because that's the second time I've been working at or not working, but like going to a shoe store, because there was the Foot Locker right across. There was the one girl in there, she was cool, and we would talk about shoes and just talk about our personal lives and things. And but I was all like, dang man, I think that was like last I heard she got a job at Nintendo. So I'm like, I hope she still has that job. I know with this whole pandemic and everything going on, I hope she still has that job. But anyways, see, that's something like people like that. I'm like, dang, like you wish you was like friends with them on social media or something, so you could have been like, oh, okay, like yeah, it's like talk to them, have conversations and all of that. But anyway, I don't remember that girl's name. Like I barely remember what she looks like. So I'm like, if she did know me and she followed me or like added me or something on social media, I wouldn't have known who she was. I was like, I straight forgot what that girl looks like. I'm like, that's messed up where I do things like that. But anyways, but no, so the guy ends up like leaving, and then it was funny. I feel like I shouldn't be talking about this because this is kind of like of a personal story and things, but I ain't saying like no names. I'm not saying any names, all right? So this can literally be anybody, all right? So anyways, he leaves, and then I remember there was another guy in there that I was cool with, and but I would talk to the one guy that had left. I talked to him more, but then so the other guy, I asked him, I'm like, oh, where's such and such? And he was just like, oh, he quit. I'm like, oh, wow. So I'm thinking, he just probably just found himself a better job or something. But I was just like, oh, wow, man. I'm like, that's crazy. And so I'm like, where did he go? And he was just like, he moved to Oregon with my cousin, started dating my cousin, and then he just left. I'm like, oh, well, dang. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think that's something to be, because the guy was like visibly upset. So I'm like, that ain't something to be really mad over. I'm like, love is love. If they did that out of love and things, I'm like, cool, dope. But I'm like, I don't know why you mad. So I left, and then that's when I think I started going to Foot Locker, because I'm like, yo, that dude is mad right now. So anyways, then he ended up leaving. But then it was funny. So we end up so it was the beginning of this year. We ended up hiring this girl for the cafe job. And unrelated to sneaker. Well, it is kind of still related, but it's like no sneakers was involved in this story and stuff. So anyways, we end up hiring this girl at our job. Like, oh, she's cool and stuff. And then she ends up adding, like, all the coworkers and things on social media and things. So she ends up adding me. And so I went and clicked on her profile. First photo I see is her and the guy that got me into Adidas shoes. So I clicked on the photo, because how like people, they kind of look different in photos and stuff. So he looks somewhat different, I don't know, his appearance changed, grew beard, whatever, but I'm like, nah, hold on for a second. This is not the guy. So I'm like, oh, I'm confronting this coworker. Even though I just met her, just started talking to her, being friends with her and stuff. Oh, I'm confronting her about this. I'm like, I don't care how personal this is. I'm confronting her, all right? So I go to work. I'm just so happy, because I'm like, nah, bro, I gotta ask her about this. So I remember I go in, and I'm just all like, did your, because I think it was her, at the time being, I think it was her ex. And so I'm like, because she was not, so it was, no, yeah, it was her ex and things. But I think they were like still friends or talking and stuff. I don't know. But anyways, so I was just like, I confronted her and was just like, yo, is such and such your ex? So she was like, yes. I was like, did he work in Federal Way at the GameStops and the Champ store? And then she shook her head and was all like, yeah, he did. I'm like, oh my. Remember how Channing Tatum was? And I feel like I said his name wrong. Channing Tatum. Regardless, but how he was in 22 Jump Street when he found out that Jonah Hill was sleeping with Ice Cube's daughter. That is exactly what was going on with me that day, because I'm like, oh my God. Now here, you've seen it from your perspective of everything that was going on, but here it goes with the customer of Champ's perspective. Like, this is my perspective on the whole situation. We sat there, talked about it. Oh man, that was crazy. And then then the guy, he ended up, I think he ended up getting her the job, because it was like a sister company with Nordstrom's, but he ended up getting her a job at the cafe and stuff, or like helping her, told her that it was hiring and things. So yeah, I was all like, oh wow, that is some crazy. So once I seen that, I was like, I told her everything from my view of it, and I'm all like, yeah, the dude was mad that you and him had left. And I'm like, oh my God. I was like, bro, I just came in here to get me some shoes. Like, I didn't come in here to hear a whole life story and stuff. I mean, I'm like, I don't mind, but I'm like, dang, bro, sorry to hear that, but hey, I gotta catch this bus. And so, yeah, I was like, that was crazy how that was just that whole like circle of life, just like, I think I told that story before, but yeah, I was like, man, that was crazy. I'm like, I feel like every time I gotta like mention how I got into Adidas shoes, I gotta talk about that. So, anyways, So then after that, then yeah, but going back, like, cause I think by that time being, yeah, I was already into Jordans. I was already into all of those different shoes. So how did I get into, well, I feel like I should start off with Nike because I had to say I did get into Jordans last. So anyways, so there wasn't really a whole lot of Adidas shoes. Like Adidas, because I remember I had bought like the EQT. I bought some other like there's these like Adidas like cushion shoes that came out. Ultra Boost, EQT Boost. There was like a bunch of Adidas shoes that was coming out. Then what was crazy was that a lot of those shoes was going on sale. There's these one shoes I remember I spent like $180 on, and them shoes ended up being like $40, $30 or something. I'm like, bro, are you serious? I'm like, I could have just waited on these shoes. And so last pair of Adidas shoes I have to say that I bought was probably these Alpha Edge 4D, and it's like these like 3D printed Adidas shoes. They're pretty nice. They're pretty cool. And then they even cut down the prices on those because I think people was all like, bro, like, we don't care if the shoes is 3D printed. Like, we shouldn't be spending $300 on some shoes and stuff. There ain't nothing special about them. But I think what's special about those shoes is that they'll never bottom out. So you know how like with most shoes they'll kind of bottom out and lose like their comfort. I feel like with those shoes they won't do that. They're already comfortable, but they're not going to like bottom out and look all weird and things. They might, I don't know, but I gotta wear them shoes more often and things. But anyways, so yeah, Adidas, they, you know, kind of was like slacking and stuff with shoes. So then I widened my variety and started getting Nike shoes. Got me some Nike shoes, and then from there it was just getting me a bunch of Nikes, and then I gotten into Jordans. And or actually no, did I get the Jordans or some Nikes first? I might have gotten some Jordans. No, I think I might have gotten me some Jordans first. But it was it was like these Air Jordan 1 mids with these like paint splatter on it and stuff. You could look those up. So it's like blue, black, and then it has like these like orange like speckles of like paint and things. And so I remember I ended up getting those, and those was my first pair of Jordans. And then I think I might have gotten into Nike shoes afterwards, and then from there I was just like into all different types of shoes. I never did get me a pair of Reeboks. I might get me a pair of Reeboks just to see what those feel like. They did have some nice Reeboks at Nordstrom's, but I don't even think Nordstrom's is open right now. So yeah, it's pretty crazy what's going on in the world and things with just COVID and then the protesting. It's a wild environment right now. But anyways, but yeah, I was like, you know, I remember at one point in high school, I know people would probably ask me, was I in the shoes in high school? No. I was, for the longest, I was wearing Vans, Air Forces, and Converse. So I was like pretty much all the shoes that was like under $100. I remember I did have like some basketball shoes like here and there, because I remember when I was in middle school, I did have me a pair of the Kobe 5s. And sadly, I ended up donating them shoes. I would have, if I would have, like, I wish I had kept those shoes, because I probably would have just talked about them and been like, oh yeah, so here's my Kobe 5s and stuff. You know, I couldn't have worn them because those is a size 7 and things. I'm a size like 10 now and stuff. So I'm like, ain't no way I could wear them shoes. I had broke them shoes. I actually did break those shoes. It was like, so you know, for my sneakerheads out there, but regardless and things, I'm going to explain it to you. So that plastic part on the back of the Kobe 5s where it holds up the like the ankle, like that mesh ankle part. I remember I was like, because I was so careless with shoes and putting them on. So now I'm like, I would, if I can, like slide the shoe on, I'll do that. But if I can't, I will untie the shoe, spread it out as much as I could, and then put my foot in it and stuff. That sounded so weird, but anyways, we just gonna move on from that. But anyways, but yeah, I would like, you know, then I'm like, you know, I'll do it the right way. But back then when I was a kid and when I would put on shoes, I would stunt my foot in there as much as I can so my foot would go in. And I remember I did that and then like ripped that mesh part off of the plastic. And it was unfixable. So that's why I ended up getting rid of those shoes, because I broke them. So I'm like, no, them shoes is broken. So whoever has them, I hope they're taking good care of them. I hope they were able to fix it. I would have, like, if I realized I could have fixed those shoes, I would have. So I'm like, just being careless. But anyways, I will talk to you guys later. It's been another episode of the TMossBoss Show. Thank you guys for watching in or listening. If you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. And if you are purchasing any tickets from SeatGeek, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss. It would knock $20 off your first purchase. And if you are purchasing any gear from Vacilo, make sure you guys use my promo code TMossBoss. It'll knock 10% off your next purchase. You want to go to the Vacilo website. I have an ad on YouTube that's that's up right now. Been up for a while. And then also in the description of all my recent videos on my main channel, on my gaming channel, TMossBoss and TMossBoss Gaming, I have a link that'll take you directly to the website, so go check it out. Got some good gear on there and stuff. And also, I have merch, so if you guys want to, there's also in my description of all my recent videos, there's a link that'll take you directly to my merch store, so you can get you some hoodies, a TMossBoss Show pillow, TMossBoss Show socks. Yes, I did that. What else? Yeah, there's a bunch of gear on there, so go check it out. For my lady friends out there, leggings. So, you know, if you want to get you some TMossBoss leggings, you could very well do that. If you, man, want to buy some leggings, you could do that. But I don't know. You're going to be looking like a professional wrestler. So, I don't know. But anyways, thank you guys for watching and or listening, and peace.